So 2 points I have to make.
Sure.
First point, you guys don't like 304s, but then you're saying that part of the most important part of vetting is to know that the sex is compatible. So if you want someone who's so sexually skilled, why are you so against 304s when that's the people that have the experience and the skill? No, you're not actually saying that. You're saying that you enjoy exploiting women's body for sexual gratification and that you would never give a woman who would have sex with you before marriage or before commitment the actual commitment. So it's kind of hypocritical. Hold on, I'm not done. It's kind of hypocritical because you're saying that you want a virtuous woman who has a low body count, but yet you're out here putting your in every single woman, making everybody's body count higher.
I mean, not every single woman.
Well, first of all, they're gonna do it anyway.
Everyone that you can.
They're gonna do it anyway, right? So that's beyond just me or, for example, someone else. They're gonna smash people anyway. My point is, long-term actual relationships do need a vetting process.
Wifey.
However, when it comes to sex, yes, it could be done after marriage, but the problem is, let's be real here. Sex in itself isn't the most important thing, but it's very important when it comes to compatibility. And if that doesn't work out properly, you're f***ed either way.
What does incompatible sex look like, genuinely?
Okay.
Starfish
For
sex.
example, right? You meet her. She got like, what, 40 bodies? You got 2 bodies. You don't know how to treat a pleasure a woman properly. And this is just a very niche example. She's like, damn, this guy is cool. He provides me, but like, I'm not satisfied sexually. She goes out now. She's on your ass and says, you know what, James, this is great, but this is not going to work out. Divorce. Now, that's obviously a niche example, but I'm just saying.
If you had more chemistry and you were actually bonded with that person and you actually love that person, you're going to tell them, like, hey, babe, do this. Hey, can we do this?
And
hey,
exactly.
can we try that?
And I think actually May makes a great point, is that being bad at sex, it's not like a permanent feature.
Yes.
It's like saying if you're out of shape, you can go to the gym.
Exactly.
If you're bad at sex, you can get better at it. Right. But it shouldn't be a precondition to being with a woman is you have to have sex.
Again,
so
it's not mandatory.
As governor, I'm going to teach abstinence in our public schools.
Yeah.
That's just my view, is that your body's a temple. You shouldn't be out there sleeping with people in high school or in college. You have to teach abstinence, that men, you don't objectify, commodify women, and that women, you don't go out there and sleep with any guy who gives you 5 minutes of attention.
In a perfect world, that would be lovely. But let's be real here. In the real world, that's not how things operate.
In the real world of degeneracy, of OnlyFans, of rap music, all of that, yeah, that's going to be hard to combat. But right now, our schools aren't even trying the abstinence approach. That's what I'm going to try. And let's come back in 4 years and see. But I'm not going to throw in the towel and say, well, because the world is corrupt and degenerate, we're not going to try to fix it.
I have a question.
Please.
So I highly agree with you, and I applaud you for keeping the men accountable as well, because on this platform, they talk a lot about accountability. But my question is, when you say we're going to teach children and teens in Florida abstinence, what
All right, hold
is
that
your...
question, because that goes completely off the topic. All right, so let me kind of jump in here real quick. James, for you, I'm assuming you're coming more from a religious perspective with the you know...
I think it's, I think my Christian faith would tell me, obviously this is the wrong thing.
Fair.
But also I think those arguments stand independent of the religion itself.
Fair.
Right? Like, look, abortion is wrong for religious reasons, but it's also wrong just independent of that.
Okay. So, and I see you're coming more from a religious and, you know, moral perspective, but I'm going to speak more from like a biological perspective. So cool. Because this whole started with men, you know, having multiple women, polygamy, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's natural for men to want multiple women, right? And it's natural for women to typically want to consolidate on one guy that meets all their metrics. The problem with women, though, is that, or the problem for women, is that it's very rare to find a guy that meets all the criteria in one dude, right? Since women have typically higher standards, it's harder to find a guy that is tall, charming, good looking, makes enough money, checks all the boxes. So what ends up happening is, like, girls have to date around. One guy has 2 out of the 3, another guy has 1 out of the 3, another guy has all of them, but he's not available. So for women, it's really hard. So I'll be sensitive to the fact that, like, you know, from a religious perspective, yes, monogamy, etc. But from the biological standpoint, I will say this: a high body count on a man, or a man having a certain body count, is a very honest indicator of where he stands when it comes to sexual market value. So if a guy has had sex with a lot of women, I know he's doing something right. Whether he speaks well, he's charming, he's good looking, he goes to the gym,
or he's paying them.
Well, I'm outside of prostitution.
Okay.
Like, I'm talking like strictly he's doing it through skill base, right?
That don't count.
He's doing, yeah, I wouldn't count that. But if he's having sex with a lot of women and not paying prostitutes, he's doing something right. Now, let me be clear about this.
By our modern measure of society, he's doing something right.
Yes, he's figured out the skill set, because it is a skill set and not many men have it, of of being able to seduce women and be able to be attractive to women and garner sex. Now, that is a skill. I know some of you guys might say, oh, that's whatever. A select portion of men can do this. Very few men can actually do it, right? So it is a skill set. Now, on the other hand, a woman that's promiscuous is admonished by society, because obviously it's not hard for women to get laid, but it is very hard for men to get laid. So a guy, I know you said, hey, I don't consider it a G if you have sex with 200 girls. That's fine. But I would say we can objectively say that this guy is doing something right to be attractive enough to be able to get those girls. Now, let me be clear about this too. Like, if a guy chooses to be monogamous, right, or he has the ability to have other women, but he wants to be monogamous, that's separate. That's fine. My thing is, I want the guy to have the choice. Most men don't have the choice. They'll cope and they'll say they have the choice, or they'll rely on religion. I'm being monogamous because of my faith, but it's a lot of the time it's cope. So my thing is, like, I just want the guy to have the sexual market value so that he attracts the girl and then he chooses to be monogamous. But the reality is most guys are not choosing to be monogamous. They're being forced to be monogamous because the woman holds more value than they do. That's the issue.
So let me ask you: if you got a guy who makes $300,000 a year, they both make $300,000 a year, both drive a nice car, both own their own place, but one has a body count of 1, and the other one has a body count of 300, who's better?
The man?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting?
Same financials, same car, same home. One has a 300 body count. One has a body count of 1. Who is better, Myron?
The man with 300 bodies. 100%.
Why?
So the reason why he's going to be better.
But when you say better at what, by what standard?
Sure. Number one, he's going to probably be more charismatic. He's going to have more experience. He's going to understand women at a deeper level.
Yep.
Because when you've had sex with 300 girls, you just understand innate traits and features about women that can't be taught, right? You understand how to speak to them properly. You understand cadence. You understand speaking in the active voice versus the passive voice. These are all things that like men have to learn through trial and tribulation, and you just simply can't get it by being with one girl. So if you've hooked up with a lot of women, you start to pick up patterns that a lot of times you can't learn from other people, right? Because women have certain traits, and then you're also going to be able to like pick up on one of the things I've noticed guys have a big issue with is they can't read signals. So like if a girl's uncomfortable, like guys don't understand, like, okay, I need to back off, build attraction again, maybe neg or whatever. Like a lot of men don't understand these like very detailed, I guess, traits
nuances,
that women, or nuances.
Yeah.
And the guy that has 300 bodies, he's going to be able to better deal with her emotions. He's going to be able to better lead her. He's going to be able to better understand her emotions. He's going to be able to better navigate, any type of issues with her because he understands women to a degree. And like, I know what you're saying, like, hey, well, do you need to have sex with them, blah, blah, blah. Fine. You don't even have to have sex with them, but you need to be at the point where you could.
So how about some of this? What is it if I say a guy who's dated 30 girls, 30, but has slept with none of them, has more experience than the guy who's merely slept with 30 girls, but has dated none of them? Who do you pick? Dated 30 girls, slept with none of them.
He is the one that declined the women and he had the opportunity to do it, even though that would be rare. Like, my thing is I just need the guy to get the skill set. And a lot of times for you to get the skill set, you have to get all the way, right? Because the thing is if you can hook up with women.
But reading signals is not going all the way.
Right.
Understanding the nuance of passive or active voice is not a lot of talking in sex.
Well, you had to build the attraction
From the
to
very
even
beginning.
do that.
Yeah,
you had to build the attraction.
So you ever heard about EI?
Emotional intelligence?
Yes, women say that all the time. He has to be emotionally intelligent. I don't understand this and that.
The vibes.
It comes with experience.
The vibes.
And I know you say sex is not important, but for that whole plane of process and thought process as well, it comes into play with sex. Because, for example, she crazy after sex.
Okay.
How does it operate?
So how about this? Let's do a little experiment here.
Cool.
You got to hire 10 people to sell your new product, this female delusion cat food. Can I have it?
Yeah, sure.
So you're going to hire 10 people to sell this product, ladies, okay? You can have 10 people who are Harvard MBAs, Masters in Business Administration, or who have 0 body count, or you can have 10 people, men, who have a 300 body count. Who would you trust to have the emotional intelligence, the charisma, the ability to capture nuance? You want 10 MBAs, or do you want 10 guys with 300 body count?
I
MBA.
think it just depends on the person with the 300 body count. If he's like,
No, I'm just telling you, that's all you know about them. They have a Harvard MBA degree, and they have a 300 body count. Who do you want to sell this product for you?
I think a lot of the girls don't know exactly what an MBA is.
It's
An MBA is a business
It's
degree.
a business degree from the best
So if you
university.
have a
that
business
300 body
degree-
count person could be selling more of that.
But he's saying you don't have
compared to
any
the
further
MBA.
You have no other information.
Yeah.
Who do you want to sell this stuff?
the MBA because they would have learned marketing, they would have learned sales, they would have learned demographic, they would have learned the ins and outs of the business.
Okay. What do you think?
I feel like for me, in my business, I take a lot of risk in
yeah.
different factors.
We know.
And I like the MBA person may not sell the product as much as the person that has 300 body count. That 300, like I
Well, the whole point of this, by the way,
like,
is does having a 300 body count?
If I didn't want to take the risk, obviously it's going to be the NBA player because they have marketing.
No, not NBA, MBA.
MBA.
Master in
MBA,
Business.
bro.
I mean,
Okay.
all right. So let me. I'm just gonna say this with all due respect. I never ask women what they want because they're too stupid to identify what actually arouses them, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by this. The things that arouse women are politically incorrect, and they don't want to admit it. Right? No girl's gonna tell you, "I love it when you ignore me. I love it when you tell me I'm a dirty whore during sex. I love it when you ignore my phone calls. I love when you don't text me right away. I love it that other women want to be around you." Like, these are all very uncomfortable realities about female nature that they'll never admit. But as a guy, if you've been around a lot of women, you know these things and you can use it to your advantage and build attraction. And she's not even going to be able to identify. And they've done studies on this too, where like they've taken women and they ask them, "Hey, does this arouse you?" And they like hook up electrodes to their vaginas, right? And what women will do?
Can you cite the study?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
from Northwestern
yeah,
University.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But basically, and when I explain it, you guys are going to be like, "Yeah, this is true." Basically, this is what happened. They showed women and men erotic images, and they hooked up electrodes to their genitals, right, to see blood flow, and then they gave them a clicker. When they showed them the images, the guys, if they saw like a hot girl or, you know, pornography or whatever, they clicked the button and then their genitals were aroused. The women, however, when they showed them a bunch of pornographic images, monkeys banging, dude walking on a beach, whatever, the women only clicked on what was politically correct. A guy walking on the beach and heterosexual sex. But they were actually being aroused by everything. So what women say and what women do are two different things. They're never going to tell you what they're actually aroused by because it would be politically incorrect and people would think they're sluts.
But this isn't. By the way, if you ran that same study 200 years ago, you would have gotten a different result. You know that, Myron.
Well, I think women.
Well, in a world, there was no pornography. There was not Rick Ross. There was not all that stuff 200 years ago.
The purpose isn't to illustrate that women or pornography or whatever. The purpose is to illustrate that what women say they're attracted to versus what they're actually aroused by are two different things. Because there's societal impact for them to admit that they're aroused by things that would be taboo. Because like girls understand that their promiscuity, their sexual past really impedes their ability to find a guy. So this is why girls don't like talking about their body count. They don't want to be looked at as a
OnlyFans.
this is why a big reason why so many girls were reluctant to admit that they do OnlyFans. Women understand innately that, you know, anything that they do sexual can come back to bite them in the ass for finding a higher status mate. So my thing is like, the more you understand about this as a guy, the better off you're going to be. Like, because women are never honest about what they're actually aroused by. I've noticed this, talked to almost 4,000 girls. They always lie about their body count. They always lie about what they like. They'll tell you, "I want a nice guy," but then they go with the drug dealer.
Yeah.
Like, women lie all day. Everything about their life is a lie. Makeup, heels, boobs done, etc. I don't believe women in anything.
But Myron, that's not fair. That's not inherent to women. That was not the case 50 years ago. It just wasn't. And so let's just keep it classy and let's try to respect people, because I think at the end of the day, women would probably be the first to admit that we live in a very materialistic society.
I mean, it honestly depends on the women, and
it's the women that push the materialism. They're the majority of the consumers. They're the majority of that we advertise to them.
It's biological.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
But the materialism for women is biological. We carry our eggs with us. We ovulate. We have a full 28 to 30 day cycle every month. When we are looking at a man and his status and his money in a biological and primal way, even if you're not mentally conscious of it, biologically you're attracted to it because it's a good provider for your future potential kids with this mate. Would you want to have kids with someone, or would you tell your sister to have sex and get married and have kids with someone who cannot provide for her?
I never disputed the fact that women want resources.
Okay, but then why are you like?
I dispute the fact that men want resources from women. That's why I was talking with her, saying like, we don't care if you make $100K a month.
Okay, but then you also said.
No disrespect, but men don't care about that.
No, actually, some of them do
at all.
Like
a
lot of women,
if they care about it, that's a bad person for you, because they're gonna use you, for example, as a wallet.
Okay, so a lot of men want women to cook, clean, take care of the kids, have an education, have her own money, go 50-50, be independent.
Yeah, but you don't want those men.
What?
Yeah, these men tend to not be as desirable.
Yeah, you don't want those
unfortunately. Men. Egalitarianism doesn't work. It's a lie. Men and women are not equal. We're better than you guys in almost every way. Like I don't.
Well,
I don't
you're
look at women as
not
equals.
better at raising children than
Men
women.
are better
No, men are
physically.
actually
Women are
better at that too.
spiritually.
They do better
Single
with
fathers.
single fathers do better than single mothers.
Yeah.
Okay, but single fathers
She's
do.
out? Oh, I guess she got triggered.
Oh, she's a model? She went the wrong way walk.
I don't know. She just I guess she got mad. I didn't do
How
nothing.
dare you?
She said I didn't get mad. I'm just going.
Myron,
Past your
Myron,
bedtime.
but a single father is always going to be worse than a mom and a dad at home, right?
Of course, single
Yes,
parenthood is awful. But I'm saying if we compare apples to apples, a single mom versus a single dads do better every single time.
It depends on the father and why he's a single father. Because a lot of men are single fathers because
It's because he said that fathers do better at raising kids, and I was like, well, really, they don't.
It depends on the
Well,
father.
Men are better at that.
Well, mother. Yeah,
It
woman.
really depends
But
on the
again,
father.
we're I think the problem is we are we're throwing in the towel to the sinful world that we live in that says that 70% of black kids are going to grow up in a home alone with just one parent, right? These are things we can actually change. And so Myron does have a point that a lot of this stuff is happening, but it's not necessarily something that's a permanent feature of our society. It just
Doesn't
isn't.
have to be.
Right? I mean, look, in the 1970s, there was no Tinder. You probably dated somebody you met at church. My grandmother married my grandfather, a World War II vet, literally after the third date. That would be unheard of now. And that was probably pretty common back in the 1940s and 50s.
There was a lot of trauma though, and men also used to sell their daughters at like 12 for the fattest cow and things like that. So the past,
That was not in the 1950s.
no, but like the past is also very toxic.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that the past was perfect, but there are literally people who are selling their daughters right now in the Middle East. We're going to be honest.
I mean, like, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
just because I want to make sure because the whole discussion started with like, what men are attracted to versus what women are attracted to, and women have this false sense like we're attracted to the same things that you guys are. Because you mentioned a bunch of, when I asked you, what would that guy want? You mentioned a bunch of masculine things. I make a bunch of money. I'm educated. I'm successful, etc. You led with masculine traits that men don't really care about. That's why I gave you the equivalent. Hey, what about my designer shoes and my wallets? And you're like, that doesn't benefit me. That's exactly how we feel when women talk about their money and their career. But
this is based on me being in a relation. I had a relationship for 3 years, 10 years, and 1 year. So this is based on my experience. Like,
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But what I'm saying is that men aren't attracted to that in general. Like,
that's actually not true.
I think Myron's right. I think Myron's right.
A lot of men want women to go 50-50.
The men that women want, the most desirable men, don't give a about how much money you make at all.
At all.
They don't.
That's not true.
I just listen. That might not be the case with your own personal history, but as a society, yeah, men generally don't care how much a woman makes.
They're going to use you if they do.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying, so we don't care about that, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to establish. The second thing I was going to establish was, though I know some of you guys don't like, you might agree, you might disagree with the concept of a man having a high body count. What I'm arguing, I'm not here to argue the morality of it. I'm here to argue that if a man has a high body count, he is doing something right and he has higher sexual market value. He's doing something right because it is a skill set to be able to sleep with a lot of women.
By our standard of a society, I don't think it's universally true.
That if a man is able to have sex with a lot of women, he's doing something right?
It depends on the woman that he's having sex with.
Okay, let me rephrase this so it's easier to understand. I'm saying a guy that has had sex with a lot of women is doing something right and has higher sexual market value in something.
Well, I agree he has higher sexual market value, but that's
what I'm trying to say.
Yes, if you are in demand and if you had sex with more people, you by definition have higher sexual market value.
Yes.
But I think
but that doesn't work for women is my point.
But I think the disagreement we're having here, Myron, is that sexual market value is everything. That you can impute all this value from sexual market value and say a guy's entire personality, his traits can be summed up by sexual market value.
Well, no, it is because men, so for women, their predominant trait for their sexual market value is their looks. As a man, you have multiple traits that get encompassed into your sexual market value because women aren't, they are kind of shallow, but women have far more standards that we have to check off. So as a guy, if you're able to get a lot of women, by definition, you have higher sexual market value because women don't just care about looks. Looks are a component.
But sexual market value does not make you a better person.
That depends on who the individual is. You can go on an individual basis on that, but the point I'm making, I'm not really making a morality or religious argument. I'm making more of a biological argument that a man that has a guy that has a lot of women is doing something right, more than likely has higher sexual market value. And then I think that's the best position to be in because if you have higher sexual market value, you've dealt with more women. If you dealt with more women, you have more experience. You can taper off girls or get rid of girls that aren't a good fit for you. And that's what I think as far as like